Hi everyone, welcome back to Jolie Knots. I'm Crystal, and today I'm going to teach you how to make some super soft sourdough sandwich bread.
Grams, carrot to 0, and take your active starter. Your active starter, you're going to use 150 grams of active starter. So 150 grams, and then you're going to take 300 grams of warm water. Tare your scale to 0. We're going to take 10 grams of salt. Now with that warm water, the warm water is going to do is to help dissolve the starter better. You guys saw it was like nice and thick. And so the warm water is going to help to dissolve that a lot better. It'll still work, of course, if you use cold water. It's just going to take a lot longer to dissolve, and you're going to have to mix it in much more. So it's just a little tip. Now the next thing we're going to do is tare your scale back to 0 again. You're going to add 50 grams of sugar, which is about a little less than 1/3 cup. And then we're going to add 25 grams of olive oil. So mix all that up. Go ahead and tare it to 0. I'm gonna add 450 grams of, I'm using bread flour, but you could use whatever flour you have. So now we're just gonna mix everything in. This dough whisk works really good and is so helpful. You could do this with your hands, of course. I would definitely not use a regular whisk, like a baking whisk, like that you would use for cakes or eggs or anything. Your dough's just gonna get stuck in there and you're gonna get super frustrated. So pull it down the sides and just to mix it in. So what we're looking for is no more dry flour along the sides and no more dry flour in the mixture. However, we're looking also for it to be kind of shaggy. So we're not looking for it to look like a cake mix or anything like that. We're looking for like a shaggy dough, kind of like this. But I just am gonna mix it a little bit more because I see some dry spots. So once you get through all the dry spots, then you should totally be fine. And then we're just gonna set a timer for 30 minutes and then come back to do some stretch and folds. We're gonna do 3 sets of stretch and folds, 30 minutes apart, and then we're gonna let it do its bulk rising before we shape it and put it in the fridge. Okay, that seems pretty good. I don't see any more dry bits. It should look like this. All right, so now we're just gonna let that sit. Cover up your bowl. I'm just gonna use a plate. If you have a container that's got a lid, use that. It doesn't really matter. And I'll see you in 30 minutes. Okay, so into our first stretch and fold. Obviously wash hands because you're going to stick your hands in it. I just washed my hands, but silly me, I dried them. Leave your hands wet because then that way the dough won't stick. So, see the difference from already just sitting for 30 minutes? So all we're doing is pulling the dough up, stretching it out, and then folding it over. Quarter turn. Pull your dough up, stretch it out, fold it over, and then again. And you can tell with each one, it's already getting stronger. And this is just our first set. So we're gonna go ahead and cover it back up, set the timer for 30 more minutes, and then we will check out how strong it is after the second. Here we are back with our second set of stretch and folds with our sourdough sandwich bread. Now remember to keep your hands wet, and here is the strength of our next stretch and fold. It's already sticking together. It's already starting to be elastic. And so all we're doing is stretching it out, folding over, making a quarter turn, stretching, folding it over, quarter turn again, and then that's it. Cover it back up and set another timer for 30 minutes for the last set of stretch and fold. All right, you guys, this is our last set of stretch and folds, our third set, last set before our bulk rise. So you can see how beautiful that dough is. Stretch it once, stretch it twice, and basically just turning it into a little ball and setting it there on the bottom of our bowl to bulk rise. Now, once this bread rises to the top of our bowl, that's when I'm gonna go ahead and shape it and put it in the bread pan.
Okay, so here we are. Now we have got it ready, and what we're gonna do is just pull it out of the bowl. See how that rose all the way to the top of the bowl, and we're just gonna open it up into a large square. And all we're doing, what we're doing here, it's called laminating, or just really shaping it for the pan. And we're not necessarily putting it into a bowl, we're kind of shaping it into a little loaf. So we're just folding the sides over and then rolling it up, making sure that not to like break your dough, like rip your skin. We want to like clip all our pieces together, make sure that that's nice and tight, and then we're just gonna cover it up, leave it for 20 minutes, and then come back and then reshape it. So what we're trying to do is just to make sure that our crust is tight so that our bread doesn't like flop all over and open up. So cover it up. 20 minutes later, you're gonna come back, and what we're gonna do is not necessarily exactly the same thing. We're just trying to make it a little bit tighter. So pulling it over, making sure, rolling it back up again. We're gonna leave it for 20 more minutes. Do somewhat similar of the same thing and stick it inside of the bread pan. So what I'm doing right here is I'm just trying to get my crust a little bit tighter. I'm sticking to my fingers a little bit. If you have one of the bread scrapers, those are a lot easier. I'm not sure why I didn't use my bread scraper. So just go ahead and cover it up, leave it for 20 minutes, and come right back. So now we have our bread pan. I've got a Pullman loaf pan. This is just a 1 pound loaf pan. And I'm just gonna spray it with this baking spray. I actually like that a lot better than coating it with olive oil. So I'm just spraying it so that my bread doesn't stick to the pan, and rubbing it in to, you know, make sure it's all over the place. If you miss a spot, of course, that's gonna be exactly where your bread sticks. Then we're gonna get the bread into the pan, cover it up with the lid, and set your oven to 350 degrees. Once your oven is up to temperature, you're going to put your bread in the oven and set a timer for 40 minutes with the lid on. After 40 minutes, you're gonna come back, take the lid off, and lightly cover it with foil just so that your crust doesn't get too brown. And then leave it in for 20 more minutes. And in just a second, you're gonna see how pretty it looks coming out.